Okay, so today's notes is just over factoring. So this is going to be a review for us. We've done factoring before in the year. So remember, our first step is to always look for a GCF. So I'm looking, and there is no number I can take out of 1, 7, and 12 besides 1. So that was our step 1. Step 2 says that we multiply A and C and find factors of that number. So this is where our sum and product came into play. All right, so remember that our sum is the middle number. So if it's talking about A, B, and C, our sum is the middle number, which is 7, and our product is our last number, which is 12, or the C. And I'm trying to think of something that multiplies to give me 12 and adds to give me 7. Well, 2 times 6 will give me 12, but 2 plus 6 does not give me 7, so that won't work. So then maybe I think of 3 and 4. So 3 times 4 will give me 12, and 3 plus 4 will give me 7. So we have used those factors to decide what our factors will be, and now we write our final answer in factored form. So we put an X in front of both of our parentheses, and then we put our numbers in the back. And both of our numbers are positive, so we put plus signs. And there's our answer. Okay. Number 2. Again, we look for a GCF. So is there anything that these 3 things have in common? So not a number, but they do all have at least one X. So we're going to pull out a GCF of X. So if I pull X out of all of these, I'll have X squared plus 9X plus 18. Because I just took one X out of each one. All right, then my sum and my product. So my sum is the middle number, which is 9, and my product is my last number, which is 18. So I'm trying to think of something that multiplies to give me 18 and adds to give me 9. So I could use 2 and 9 to get 18, but 2 plus 9 does not give me 9. I could use 3 and 6, and 3 plus 6 would give me 9, so that must be what I need to use. So then I write my final answer. Don't forget, you have to keep your GCF out in front, and then you make your 2 sets of parentheses. The front of your parentheses will both have an X, and then you're going to have a 3 and a 6, and they are both positive, so we put in plus signs. And there's our answer. Okay, number 3. I look for my GCF, and there is not a number or a variable, so no GCF this time. So then my sum is my middle number 5, and my product is my last number 4. So I need something that multiplies to give me 4 and adds to give me 5. Well, 2 times 2 will give me 4, but 2 plus 2 does not give me 5. So I have to use 1 and 4. 1 plus 4 will give me 5, and 1 times 4 will give me 4. So I make my 2 sets of parentheses. We always put an X out in front, and then I plug in my 2 numbers, 1 and 4. And they're both positive, so I put in my plus signs. All right, number 4. First, I look for my GCF. Doesn't look like there's a number, and they don't all have a variable, so no GCF on this one. Then I look at my sum, which is my middle number, -8. Make sure you don't lose that negative, keep it with you. And product, which is 12. So I need something that multiplies to give me 12 and adds to give me -8. So for 12, last time we used 3 and 4, but 3 and 4 will not add to give me -8. So maybe I use 2 and 6. All right, positive 2 times positive 6 will give me 12, but they don't add to give me a negative 8. However, a negative times a negative would give me positive 12, and negative 2 plus negative 6 would give me negative 8. So now I just write it in factored form, put an x in front of both of my parentheses, and plug in my numbers, negative 2 and negative 6. All right. So then we move on to number 5. So on number 5, I'm looking for a GCF. So it looks like I've got 2, negative 14, and 20. All of those numbers are divisible by 2. So I'll be able to pull out a 2. This has x cubed, x squared, and x. So they also all have an x that I can pull out. So we're going to pull out a 2x. So if I divide 2x cubed by 2x, the 2 divided by 2 becomes 1. X cubed, if I take out an x, will become x squared. So I have 1x squared. Negative 14 divided by 2 is going to give me negative 7. And if I take an x out of x squared, I have 1x. 20 divided by 2 is going to give me 10. And if I take the x out, I have no more x's. So now I'm going to look for my sum and my product. So remember, your sum is your middle number, which in this case is negative 7, and your product is positive 10. So I need something that multiplies to give me 10 and adds to give me negative 7. So I could use 2 and 5, but positive 2 and positive 5 will add to give me positive 7, not negative 7. So both of these must be negative, because a negative times a negative will give me positive, and negative 2 plus negative 5 will give me negative 7. So we put our GCF out in front, and then we make our 2 sets of parentheses. So you put an x in front of both, and then plug in your 2 numbers. And there's our answer. Make sure you always remember to bring down that GCF in front of your parentheses. All right, number 6. So first I look for my GCF. Doesn't look like there's a number or a variable I can pull out, so no GCF. Then I look at my sum, which is my middle number, in this case negative 11. And then I look at my product, which is the last number, in this case is 28. So I need something that multiplies to give me 28 and adds to give me negative 11. So maybe I think 4 and 7. 4 times 7 will give me 28, but I need it to give me negative 11. So I could make them both negative, and negative 4 plus negative 7 is negative 11, and a negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm putting them into my 2 sets of parentheses. You start them both with an x, and then just plug in your numbers. And there we go.